Morning, everyone, and welcome to Pcarmarket Live. I'm James Barry, and I'm here with David Whitlock. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good. Great to see you. Here we are again, and we're coming to the end of spring, and I know you just got back from Air Water and some
I was
other
out
events.
in Cali for Air Water. Went out for the car show, the auction. It was great, man. I mean, Cali hits differently.
I know a nice
love it out there.
GT there that sold.
There was a very nice Carrera GT there. Our friend Ray Schaefer from Broad Arrow Auctions, he represented it for a mutual friend of ours. And that was the first Carrera GT I ever rode in.
Wow.
And it was a number of years ago with the owner, good family friend, and just took me for an absolute rip. It was amazing.
Yeah.
There's nothing like riding your first Carrera GT ride with somebody who won Le Mans.
And that was down in Florida, right?
Down in Florida.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So sad to see that one go.
That's the first time I was in one, too. It was down in Florida. And,
Awesome car. But they did a wonderful job with the show. Like, it was unbelievable. The amount of cars, almost 10,000 people, probably about 3,000 dogs. Like I said, Cali does it different. It was pretty cool. But, auction was pretty good. Got some decent numbers, good number for the Carrera GT. RS America did stupid money, as they tend to do now, but it was low mileage, white, just everything you'd want in an RSA.
You know my theory about that, right? It's like you look at the sticker price of a new 911, whether it be a Carrera or a Carrera 4S, and they're pretty expensive. So, a nice example of an air-cooled car that's like, doesn't matter what the mileage is, but if it's like all there, it really shouldn't be cheaper than a new car, because 20 years from now, those air-cooled will still be on the road, and we don't know about the new ones, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
So
we'll see who keeps them alive.
Exactly. But, it's funny we talk about that, because I've had a couple of clients see that sale, and I think that besides the car being black, the fact that it was owned by a Le Mans driver, that's going to weigh in. So, just if you have a Carrera GT and, you're just
super
a successful
low
guy,
mileage.
you can't, you're not maybe going to get that premium.
It had everything. I mean, 3,900 miles, recent service work, lots of service work, major service, full luggage set, still in the wrapper. So it had everything you wanted in a Carrera GT, and it brought, a great price.
Yeah, that was well done. So we're back to this market, and we talked earlier about, instead of picking these models and segmenting them, because it gets repetitive and the market's moving so quickly now, right, that it's like, what's the point? There are some things that are really consistent, right? Like our last conversation was about the 993s, and they're still going really strong. We've actually had, we've seen a lot of more basic 993s sell since that one, because there was a lot of S's since the beginning of the year.
C4Ss, C2Ss, turbos were doing really well, but like your standard 993 was just kind of
exactly.
piddling
and
along.
It seems like the Carrera Coupes and the cabs for the first, even like the last time when the 993s went up, the cabs were always like
lagging,
like stuck.
Yeah.
And now we've seen a couple of cabs even like break the 90 mark, or even like 100, which is like kind of unheard of, unless it's like a PTS.
Because nobody can afford a Target anymore.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So they're doing really well. But the new car stuff, we'll dive in. So we have this car on the screen here now. This market here, we call it the flipping market, right? Everyone bought these things to flip, and now what's nice is we're starting to see these cars land in the hands of people who actually are end users that want to own them and drive them. Yeah, I mean, so that whole game is going to kind of go away.
Yeah.
But some people taking some pretty big hits on these, right?
Yeah, they're coming down to reality. Like you said, the flipper market's over. There's a couple cars are going lower than MSRP.
Yeah.
They held on to them, didn't put any mileage on them, waiting for that home run. And it's just not happening as often as it used to.
Yeah.
It still happens every now and then. I've seen some home runs in the last month, but it's just not like every single one getting knocked out of the park like, summer 2022. That ship is sailed.
Yeah, it's kind of like right place, right time.
Yep.
You get it. But like this car here, this is what you called it, the Superman spec, right?
Yes.
This car a year and a half ago would have brought a 3 in front of the number. Hammer price $220,000, actually like $218. Because much like every other 992 owner, this gentleman was not making any money off of this. So there was a little negotiation at the end, and we were pretty much maxed out. But $2,000 extra got the deal done. Nice spec though, right?
I love the spec. Gentian blue, the red leather interior.
Yeah. And these are starting to become now, to the point where they'll probably be in the mid to high ones by next year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a normal turbo would be. And then you got a lot of car for the money.
We have the 992.2 dropping soon. Followed by the turbo.
Yes.
And you've seen a couple of the rumors I think I brought this up on a previous podcast. There's a rumor going around. I saw it first on Renlist and a couple other online blogs picked it up, that the next 911 Turbo non-S could be a manual.
I heard that too.
Yep.
I heard that too. That's why I laugh when everyone says this is the last manual. So unless the factory's closing down,
Not
you
the
can't
last
call
anything.
anything the last manual. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You can't.
I
There may
think-
be another guy in the world that could build engines with the last name Metzger too. We don't know that.
Yeah, you don't know that.
And
It's
then
not the
100
last
years from
Metzger.
now, who's going to know what Metzger built what, right?
Yep.
So, but
I would
yeah.
love to see it. But what would that do for 997.2 turbo?
You know
prices
what? It's still a
with the
different
manual?
car.
Different car.
I mean, I know a lot of people talk about their cars. I try to make it more about everything else, but I will share that I went modern, and so did David, and we're just still old school. Like the most modern Porsche I have is a 997, and I had the newer ones, and don't get me wrong, I like them, but I don't know, they're big, and there's something not right. I don't overthink it. I just get in and I'm like,
You
okay,
know
this
the
is nice.
feel that you want. That feel ended with the 997. I think that's a lot of people too.
Now,
because
don't get me wrong. If I was going to jump in the car, which I've done about 26 times in my life, if I was going to jump in the car right now and drive to Florida straight, I'd much rather be in a 992 or a 991 than any older car, because I'm just going straight, and I want like the best seat possible and the best ride possible, and you know what I mean? But I don't do that very often. Yeah, I mean, that's a rare occurrence. So, and even so, I'd probably rather be in like a big German luxury.
I'd rather be in a luxury. Yeah. Give me an S-Class or a 7 Series or something.
Amen. So
Something big and comfy.
yeah. So I just think that, unfortunately, all the regulations and the mandates and being competitive is forcing Porsche and other manufacturers to build what they're building today. And you know what? To people who haven't been doing this since they're like in diapers, those cars are going to check the boxes for them. But for people who have really driven and gotten behind the wheel of this stuff and grew up around it like you did and I did, there's just something not the same anymore.
Yeah. We got to try all the flavors to find what's really your flavor.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people land in that 997 area. I mean, look at GT3 values. 997 GT3 versus 991 GT3.2. We'll leave .1 out of it because it's everything going on with those. But that's still such a strong car.
Yeah, it really, and even the 996 GT3s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like that was the car that was. I was saying this yesterday. So that was a hard car to sell because everyone hated the 996 early on. Now it's becoming loved. Obviously.
It's got its thing. Yeah.
But I remember that car was sitting in the showroom with a 6-figure price tag when the new Carrera S came out with ceramics.
Oh yeah. Back
to the round headlights. Who on earth was going to buy that GT3? Nobody realized what it was. People just walked in like, oh, I got to have that.
Oh, the new flashy thing.
Yeah. Yep. So it was one of those things where, and now look at that car. You know what I mean?
What I can't wait to see are the 996.1 GT3 start hitting. It's 25 years.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I want one of those bad.
Start making room for that.
Taco tail. It's a good thing.
Yeah, it is.
A beautiful car.
So back to this, we had a no sale on Bring a Trailer, a Targa. And by the way, I'll point out, ourselves included, I'm not trying to, play favorites or anything like that, but like you notice across the board, the quality of cars being listed is not the same. And I think it's because people are coming in with reserves that are a little too high. Seeing it on Bring a Trailer especially, you used to go on Bring a Trailer and be like, oh my God, look at this, look at this, look at this. And now you just see like a lot of motorcycles and a lot of cars. And it happens with us too. It happens with all the other sites. But I just think the sellers, they get in this holding pattern, and I think it just takes a little time to shake it out and figure out who's actually going to come to grips with what the market is and sell the car and who's not. Because, I think where sellers go wrong, and this could be like a whole podcast, is, if you're overpriced when a market's maybe, coming down, whether it's slightly or fast, it's just getting so much further away from you at that point. You may as well just get ahead of it, catch it, because you're still going to wind up doing better than holding on. You know what I mean? So
it goes in cycles too.
Money. I don't need, why are you trying to sell it?
Well, it goes in cycles. So last month, the sell-through rate, all auctions, including, the Broad Arrow auction in there as well, it was like 69%. So only 69% of Porsches on offer sold. And it's constantly going up and down, month over month. And what I see is as you start to get that low sell-through rate, everybody starts adjusting, their expectations. They get a sense of, okay, this is where these cars really are landing, because it's not just happening here. It's not just happening at Bring a Trailer. It just happens across the market.
Yeah. And by the way,
board.
market, there's nothing wrong with the market. It's just if your the cars are always worth what they're worth, like indefinitely, right? Like think about it, like a car that's a good asset, like a 993 or whatever the case. They have a value. And then the market goes above it, below it, at it. And that's all it is. Like these 992s, Porsche put them out there. They're priced, and then last year and the year before, everyone decided to pay $100,000 more than Porsche priced it at. Now they're a little under, like a normal car. The value's really never changed. It's just people, stop looking at it as a business venture. You know what I mean? And the way it's intended is, you make money. Here's a sports car. You want it. You buy it. You drive it. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to get into a game, and it's like,
Absolutely. I was
there's a lot
talking
involved
to
in this.
a friend the other day, and they were like,
Yeah.
I just got this, on the list for this Lamborghini. We're going to try and flip it. I was just like, yeah, good luck,
Oh, yeah. A guy called
You
me
and everybody else.
A guy called me on a Urus last week. I'm like, were you asleep for 2 years? You just woke up?
Right?
You know what I mean? So, but anyway, like, see, this car here, nothing wrong with this auction. $190,000, this car should have sold. This isn't Bring a Trailer's fault. This isn't the buyer's fault. This is just a guy trying to flip. This is a car that in 3 years is going to be worth $120,000. Why would you pay $250 for this? I guarantee that's what the guy wants for it, or close to it.
Yeah,
Same
but we
thing with
haven't
this
seen
here.
a
Look at
single
this
one of those sell in the last 4 cars. So the last time one of those Targas sold was probably back in October, September of last year. And since then, we've had 3 others come up to bat and just no sale. And all of them around that $200,000 mark, 'cause it's just not there.
Exactly.
Even the last car that sold was like $225,000, $230,000, and the car before that was in the same range. So $250,000 on that thing. Just, it never happened.
No, it never happened. Even $225,000, I think, is a lot. This too, look, there's no sale $329,000. I mean, we sold one of these a month and a half ago for $350,000.
I think they're color and spec specific.
Yeah, but I
Has a
also
lot to
think
do with
that
it.
these will adjust. I mean, these will always be good cars to have, like the Speedsters.
Yeah.
But look what happened with the Speedsters. They went from 400 to 260 to 350, back to 400. Now they seem to be back in the mid to upper threes somewhere. We just saw another a slate gray one, no sale, and Bring a Trailer in like that 350 range. But it did have 6,000 miles.
Yeah, that had the highest mileage of anyone we've seen in the last 12 months.
It is, but that's a car that should be driven.
Oh, yeah, I'd buy
no
that
roof
one.
with that engine. Like, what are you saving that for?
And slate gray, too.
Yeah.
It looked good.
And it's been proven a few times. We've seen it with some Tourings. If people drive them responsibly and the condition is there and they actually have records of it, the mileage doesn't hurt the price like people think. It's if the car's been sold 17 times and there's not one service record, then it's going to hurt it.
Yep.
But we've seen it even with the old cars. We've seen 100,000-mile air-cooled cars
Oh,
do
absolutely.
the price of like garage queens. And it's because people are like, wow, I can actually drive this car. We know it works.
Yeah,
because
they have every service record for the last decade.
That's right. That's right. So that's where that's at. You know what I mean? And then, then we move into these. Now, this is where I'm finding the biggest discrepancy in value in the entire market here, because I am watching these cars. I'll actually skip over this one and go back to it. Look at this on, we had one of these on our site. These are on Bring a Trailer. Here's a 49,000-mile no sale. 78,000. Bring a Trailer. Same car, more mileage, 105,000. Hey, listen, you can get into service records, all this stuff. I'm sorry. I mean, you could take that 49,000-mile car, you have $30,000 in your pocket. I don't care how nice this car is. There's something not right there. And then back to the one that I skipped. This car ended on our site at $80,000. And then 4 days later, mysteriously gets 100. It's just so irrational. It's unbelievable. You know what I mean? And this is the one that, by the way, should have done it, because this is the anniversary.
It's a 25th
edition.
anniversary car.
This is the final year, which I think says something after,
Where do those have? Where do they have the signature on there?
I'm sorry?
Don't they have
On the glove box.
on the glove box? There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was a kid detailing cars, I didn't even have a driver's license. I had a customer with a convertible. Silver anniversary, had the silver Fuchs. I don't know if these were replaced or not, because I think they should have that. And he used to throw me the keys, like, hey, drive around the block. I used to drive this car around. And it was just like a big moment. I mean, just to be able to drive the car.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
And, and he was like a volunteer with the police force, so there was nothing ever going to happen.
You were set.
I was
You were
careful.
set.
But it was awesome. Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. And I still remember how heavy, because I was like 16. So I remember how heavy that steering, you know what I mean? Because when you're washing cars, you're always like moving things around, and like, in the 90s, there was a lot of cars with the power steering. And this was just like, oh my God, you know what I mean?
Not this one.
Yeah. You had to get it moving to move the steering wheel. But anyway, this was a really nice car. These are cars that, when you have a G-body, right? They've been made for so many years. There's not too many special editions out there of the G-body, unless you find a PTS or whatever, but this is one of the only special limited cars they made. I mean, you had the Weissach, that was early on, right, 1980. Then you had that commemorative '88 car, and this one. I can't really think of any other special G-body, right?
I mean, that we got at least.
Right.
You know, Europe always gets the fun stuff.
That's true. Oh, I'm sorry. The most important one, the Club Coupe. The Club Coupe.
Yeah,
that was
Club
the most
Sports,
important one.
come on.
But there's none of them. You can't even buy that car.
Yeah.
You know, you can't even buy that car. So Porsche makes a day now as many cars as those Club Coupes exist. So, but anyway, so that's the G-body market. And the G-body market, you know, I don't have much to tell you. I just think if you like the car, buy it.
It's all over the place. I mean, it goes from 50,000 to just over 100,000.
Yep.
And, you know, service records, paint go a lot into the price of these cars.
Yeah.
It's just, there's a lot of them. Like, there's always another one for sale.
Yeah.
Like, if you miss one, you don't have to be so aggressive on it. Like that 25th anniversary, you're not going to see another 48,000 mile 25th anniversary car come up, you know, in any time soon.
And he took it to the Porsche dealer. They went through the car.
Gonna see another red, you know, G50, 88 tomorrow.
But I mean, this either oversold or our car undersold. Yeah, it's just. This doesn't make much sense. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the result of when I say to people, like, don't get stuck on a price, right? Because this car could have very well went over by 20 grand of what it's worth or more. And it could have just been two people that really wanted that car. And there is such a thing. It's rare as people who, when they want something, they buy it. They don't sweat the money so much, you know, because people, when it comes to cars, they have this mentality. But when you go to the store and you see a pair of shoes you like and you buy them, when you're done, they go in the garbage. You don't think about what they're worth at the end, and you don't think about waiting for a discount. You just buy them. Some people buy cars that way, and that's kind of a blessing. You know what I mean, to be like that, because people torture themselves, and then they lose a car. They probably think about all the joy you might have lost. You know what I mean? If you actually bought that car for over $1,000, people lose a deal. And imagine you just spent the $1,000, bought the car, you drove it, you had fun, maybe you make some new friends, whatever, go to some shows, have some good times with your family, and you lost it for $1,000. People do that every day.
Oh, constantly. I have a friend who's been doing it for 3 years. Like, he still doesn't have a 911.
Yeah. Well, I think they're just deal junkies. You know what I mean? And I understand that.
Yeah, he enjoys the hunt, I guess. He enjoys the looking, the going and checking the car out, the bidding, just there, but never getting it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd rather just drive
It's
the car.
hunt. I guess that's why some people want to hunt for their dinner, and other people like me, they just stop at the store on the way home. But these, you know, we're not really talking about the market. I just love showcasing a 964 RS because if anyone watching this has ever driven one, you know this is probably one of the best cars they ever made. Mm-hmm. There were two really nice sales, one on Pcar, one on BAT. Ours had some paint work and stuff like that. So this is my favorite segment.
They've all had paint work at this point.
This is my favorite segment.
I haven't seen one.
Because these cars will fetch $500,000 if they're museum grade, and you get half price. You got an amazing car here, arguably the same or better. And look at this car.
I always love the interiors.
Yeah, 236. You know, these cars range between 2 and 250. And this is a nice sleeper spec. The one that sold on Bring a Trailer was a Ruby Stone, higher mileage. Ruby Stone brings a monster premium for those.
That's
who don't
the
know.
highest price paid for a RS over 40,000 miles in the last 12 months, and it was all because of Ruby Stone.
Look at the color.
It brings the money every time.
Road Scholars had it sold for almost $500,000 with low mileage.
Yeah, and probably no paint work and nice history.
And that was on Bring a Trailer. That was a nice car.
I look at that interior.
This is beautiful. So the steering wheel, I'm not sure because some of them have the flat steering wheel and some have this. I don't know if this was changed or not, but with this mileage, I'll say maybe it was changed. I like this steering wheel. That's my favorite steering wheel.
Yeah.
In non-airbag wheel, at least, yeah. I love that.
Stack of records in Italian or French.
This is where it's at.
Yeah.
This is where it's at.
Ruby Stone. Yep.
And
all day, every day.
That's going to prove your point about the RS Americas. Like that car is going to ride the coattails of this. There's just a big difference.
A huge difference.
I'll say that again because I think I said it. There is a big difference.
Huge difference between the two.
Yeah.
Like I love the RS America. I had mine. I loved it. Left a ton of money on the table, whatever. But, you know, I see these selling for $160,000, and to me, that's not $150,000, $160,000 air-cooled driving experience. Like, it's a great car, but I just don't see it. But like you said, it's riding the coattails of this.
Yeah.
As these get more expensive, you know, the one that sold at $300,000 was probably comparable to one that sold for $500,000. So there's going to be that spread there, I guess.
One of the disadvantages of age, though, is you're programmed to what things could cost. Because, like, before we were born, right, our parents' generation, you could buy a luxury home for $30,000. So I don't know how to get to that mindset. So for me, I'm still stuck in, like, the 2000s in pricing. Yeah, I mean, I just can't wrap my head around certain things. But And then when I try to, I'm often proven right by depreciation, because if these cars are really worth the prices that people are paying for them, they wouldn't be depreciating like this. You know what I mean? So you have to look at it that way. Like, go try to buy a new car for your family nowadays. It's ridiculous.
Oh God, yeah.
A Suburban is $80,000. It's a Chevrolet.
Yep.
$80,000 used to get you a loaded 993, a 560 SEL, even like a, up to the 2000s, you can get any S-Class. That wasn't so long ago.
Yeah, I was in, and what got me is interest rates and whatnot now. So I was in a dealership, and unless you're buying a new car, you're getting a special rate from the manufacturer, like, it's insane. So I forgot, I was at like a Hyundai dealership. I was waiting for another meeting and just, listening to what's going on around the showroom floor. And this older lady, she's looking at a car, and he's like, oh, if this was, certified premium, we get a special rate, but it's not certified. And he hits her with this like 9% interest rate with excellent credit. I was just like, whew, that's rough.
It
hurts.
It is rough.
But, cheap money's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And it could come back, and it's
We'll see.
discouraging. I was just in a similar situation, and I just said, nah, but,
I don't think it's affected this market as much as you would have thought.
Well, because these cars are cash buyers.
A lot of cash buyers. Nobody's really lining up the financing for it. You have it here and there. You see some of them have to have the loan paid off on the car. I see that pretty often, looking through all the auctions.
But a lot of that's, a lot of that is like we find is some people buy them and then take a loan afterwards because their financial advisor says, hey, pay 3%. 4%, and I'll get you back 8 or whatever the case, and you just do that. But if, very, very few Porsche people, which is unique to the brand, right? A lot of people buy cars that they shouldn't afford them. Like I just have a rule. Like if I couldn't write a check for the whole car, don't buy it. Doesn't mean I have to write the check for the whole car.
Right.
But like that's where that's like a teenager mentality. And like people do that with Bentleys. They do that with Lamborghinis. And that's why you have a very vast, buyer pool of those cars. Porsche people, they're all kind of like generic. They're smart, they're successful, they're prudent. Conservative in a way, but they also live a little. They're just a very specific breed of people. And that's what you find here. So if they have a loan on the car, it's typically not going to break them if they have to keep paying it or to pay the thing off, which is why a lot of them ruin some of their own deals. Even though we tell them let the buyer pay the lien off, they'll just write a check and pay it off, thinking they're doing the deal a favor, and now they're waiting 3 weeks for a title, and the guy doesn't want to pay till it comes. And don't do that, please. Don't do that. So anyway, moving into another little segment that I think is a good segment is the 996 turbos. Still undervalued,
yes.
but they keep getting little bumps in value. We had 2 really good cab sales this week, rightfully so. They were not cabs you'll find. Like you can't go online and find 2 cars like this anywhere right now. We'll get to them, but this was an interesting one because this was a 90,000 mile car, which to me fetched a good number. But it was a factory X50, and it was presented beautiful, and it had a lot of very
tasteful work.
That's right.
Yep, I remember this car. Like the work that was done to it is what most turbo owners were doing.
Right.
In period.
Right.
That was the good stuff.
Right, because you could really ruin your car with
easily,
modifying it,
real quick.
But this is a car where you can get in trouble because a guy with a normal car with this mileage will see it and say, "Oh, I want that for mine." Your car's worth $40,000, but this car brought every dollar it was worth. The buyer did not overpay, and the seller didn't undersell it. This is what it was worth in our estimation because it had a good auction.
Yeah,
there were people there. That's how I gauge the real value of a car. It's like, what's the fight like?
How many people are in this?
Yeah, and this car had that. So the gentleman who got this, I actually got to speak with him. Really nice. He'll enjoy that car, and that's and that's about right because if you found this car in concours condition with 30,000 miles, you're paying in the 80s now for an X50 coupe, and I still think that's cheap.
And there's that 6,000 mile one that sold for 106 here recently, and it's crazy. So like, is it the 996 turbo coupe 6-speed market? And I'm looking, 01, 05. It started all of a sudden, I'd say like March, we started seeing like a lot of lower sales. It didn't really move the average, but things were selling under the average more often than not. All of a sudden, the last like 2 months, April, May, everything's through the average.
Well, you know what I always say? This market's very segmented in terms of the buyers because what you have here is you have people that are buying this car because of price. Maybe they don't want to spend or have the money to spend on a 997 or 991 turbo, but then you have the people who are the connoisseurs that want this car. So that's why sometimes you'll see people they don't give a crap if it's 10 grand more, 20. They want that car. And then other people are like, well, this is all I have approved on my loan or whatever the case. See, this car, this is a car that didn't sell yesterday. And I'll put it up because if you're looking for one of these, this is one that deserves some attention. Most people look at this car. He wants a similar number.
Oh, bumperettes. That's worth the money right there.
This is not an X50, but what this car has is condition and an immense amount. I mean, look at the gallery here. Look at all of the service records this car has on this car. So, yeah, you know what? You can go buy one for 50 grand.
Stack. Racks on racks on racks of service records.
Yeah, you could go buy one of these for 50 grand all day long. But from an owner like this, spend a few extra bucks, get this car. This is a nice car. This is a nice
You're
car.
buying the condition 100% on this one.
Yeah, the condition is what's selling this car.
There was another car that went through recently. It was X50 plus turbo aero kit. That one did fairly well. Oh, I loved this one. That was a great looking car.
Like a record here because the cabs have really suffered.
Yeah, cabs sit around like cheap.
But this is Carmen
60.
red. This is one of the rarest colors you get. This is almost arguably like paint to sample. You never see this.
Yeah.
GT3 wheels on the build sheet. Useless option, but people dig it hardtop. I mean, this was a really, really, really nice car. This did, to me, a
did
whopping
insanely
number.
well.
Yeah.
It's the highest price paid for a 996 turbo cab this year.
Good. I hope the owner's watching that.
Yeah, 2024. there were some really high sales in 2023, but they were just stupid low mileage yellow one that went for like 101 with 4,000 miles or something like that. But so far this year is the highest price paid for a turbo cab, and it was 100% worth it. Look at that
this
color.
This one got close. This was a real X50, brown interior. The outside was black. But again, this car, to me, had the chance to maybe, it got
and
pretty
low
close.
mileage, too.
Yeah. But this warranted this price. This was very fair. This was like an equal deal. I think on the last one, I think it went for a lot of money.
That's fine. Another one.
This car did not undersell.
The color sold that other car.
Yeah.
100%. That thing is
But this
gorgeous.
had an X50.
Yep.
This had an X50, and you know what? We'll play because we like to have a little content here. This gentleman is like one of our favorite in terms of people too. But look at the drone shots he does and the driving videos he does. He does some really cool stuff. This was a beautiful car. We had one here a long time ago in this color combo. I love the natural brown, and what's nice is this had black carpeting, which breaks it up a lot, and it had some nice bits on the interior. So this is a nice car.
Painted center console. I can't see that far.
This one, I'll pull it up. This one had, I don't think it was a painted console, but I could be wrong. It was wood.
Wood. Okay.
Yeah,
Dark.
Let me get a better picture. There we go.
Look at that.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah.
Lots of wood.
Yep. And by the way, that could hold these back a little bit sometimes because
Leather
they
vents.
had build quality issues with that, and replacing this is a pain.
Mm-hmm.
It looks great with this interior.
It would delaminate, right?
Yeah.
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 I remember always seeing, especially like the top of the steering wheel, even the carbon fiber steering wheels would start getting like little cracks at the top of the steering wheel.
Lucky
see
I
it
got?
all the time.
One of the first cars I bought when I went out on my own was a 996 turbo down in Florida. I'll never forget. It was seal gray, had a GT2 front bumper from the factory, and the guy had carbon fiber all over. And there's a piece connecting the radio speakers on the dash. I don't know why they did that. It's paper thin.
It's super thin.
That was cracked.
Yep.
And then the whole thing around the vents was turning green. I priced it out. I almost had a heart attack because there wasn't a lot of profit in it. Luckily, I was going through the records. The guy had the carbon put in 3 years ago at Champion. It was not on the build sheet, and there was a warranty on it. I got it all replaced for free.
Beautiful. That's luck right there.
That is the definition.
What was the price to replace it?
Oh, my God. It was, at least $4 or $5 grand. And it wasn't the whole interior. Yeah, it was exorbitant. But now, I don't know the name of the company, but Brad bought from a company in the UK for his 997. This stuff is super high quality. It looks better than anything Porsche ever made. And they make a lot of nice aftermarket carbon fiber interior for 996, 997 models. I'm assuming maybe newer ones too, but Brad did a lot of stuff in his 997.
Very cool.
It looks great. It looks really, really good.
Gotta check it out.
So that's that. Here's another one that sold. There's an 01 coupe, did 70 grand with 60,000 miles. This is what I'm trying to say. This is another nicely presented car that, did a
They paid up for the vanity plate.
When the car is right, people will pay. Look at this. The motor's out of the car. This car was serviced. So I still think the 996 market the turbo market's really healthy. And I still think there's a lot of value there if someone wants a car and a real sports car.
Absolutely.
with a turbocharger on it, obviously. I know you're a 996 guy, so.
I love 996s. I would love a 996 turbo. Wait for the right one. Miss the ship when a really nice car was $35,000, but it's all right. I'll stick with my C4S. I keep on rocking it.
There you go.
I've got like 150,000 miles on it now. I drive the hell out of it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So here's a car. I like these. I know we talk a lot about Porsches here, but this car, no sale, don't bring a trailer for 80 grand, which arguably was not a bad number. Yeah, but he wanted a little more. And you know what? Look how beautiful this car was. This was a stunning
and
car.
And by 2010, was it still a V8 and V10? Or
they had both.
Yeah.
And you know what? I like both engines. Obviously, I'd probably rather have the V10, but the 8 is nice in here. And it's probably a little more serviceable. It's basically an Audi A8 engine. It's 40 valve. A lot of people don't know that. Audis always have like the crazy technology. Their car, they were building that aluminum space frame car since the 90s.
Yep.
And their car, their 8-cylinder was always 5 valves per cylinder. That's a big deal. You know what I mean? Because nobody else had that. So that's a rare thing. So that's the motor you got in here.
And maybe that's why they didn't have it, because they broke all the time.
Yeah. Well, listen, granted, regardless, if an executive is sitting here from Mercedes, they would say, yeah, but an S500 will go 100,000 miles more than this car, and it will.
Yep.
So we could attest to that. But this car, we got 85 for. I love this segment. I think there's a lot of value in this car, because when you make a car this beautiful, I don't care what Audi builds next, you cannot trump this car. It's gorgeous. The new one's beautiful too. But this is a classic design.
So earlier cars, what, 06?
No, this car came out in...
When did this come out?
I think the earliest car was 08.
08? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is down there. Where are those at? So what is like the cheapest R8 V8 you could possibly buy right now?
With an automatic, which by the way, it's
60?
not a bad driving car, but you could buy them in the 50s with mileage on them.
That's wild.
60, yeah. So this car with the gated manual... Because, look at this condition. If this car wasn't as nice, it would be like in the low 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. For 10 grand, get a nicer car. Look at this thing. And it's got the carbon blade, which is a big deal.
Okay.
If you want to shift the manual, it's nice. I actually like the newer car. It's automatic only. That car's a beast.
And is that only offered in V10?
Yeah,
the newer
they have
one?
the V10 and the V10 Plus. There's no more 8-cylinder. But
all right.
I like it because even though I love the Lambos, they just became like... oh,
you want the stigma that goes along with it?
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yep.
It's a shame. Yeah, but I'll still take a Mercy any day over
the give me the old. Oh yeah.
But
a Mercy,
this
a Diablo
gives you that gentleman's image, but you got the power plant.
You look like Iron Man getting out of that thing. Everyone wants to be Iron Man.
It's Veyron-ish. It's just like a more subdued Veyron. You could tell the same company designed both cars.
Yeah.
I know it's not exactly the same, but it's the same concept. Right.
When I lived in Atlanta, somebody in my condo complex had an Audi TT, and they made a side blade for it, so that looked like a R8. Good from far from good. Was it? I used to see it parked in front all the time. It's like, oh boy.
Listen, the Audi TTs were cool. The 3.2, I remember when that came out.
It was a cool looking car. What a design with that, and the baseball glove interior.
Yes.
That those had.
Yes.
That was phenomenal.
Yeah, they had great interiors. They even had one that was called French Vanilla. I don't know if you ever saw that.
I don't remember that one.
Everything was black, and the seats were literally like the color of French vanilla ice cream, like that yellowish color. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. I had a couple of convertibles because I used to buy and sell a lot of those cars. The Roadsters are a nice market. Not everybody's a speed demon.
Yeah.
So you could find a lot of enjoyment in a TT, a Z3, a Boxster, and
what's a TTRS doing these days?
We had a few of them on here.
Have you?
40s get you a really nice car, I think, right now in this day and age.
And those are fairly tunable, too. I've heard some crazy power.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great car.
I was looking at other things other than Porsches.
Well, listen,
I love my Porsches, but,
so do I. The next thing I go to if I'm not in a luxury car mood is a older M car.
Yeah.
The E36s I'm a big fan of. I have one, and that's a great car.
Any BMW like up to the mid 2000s, like 04, like the
E46.
Yeah, E46. I always loved the E38 M5.
E39 M5.
39 M5. There we go.
I'm going to be selling my E38 7 Series.
So. Yes, the E38 7 Series.
Yeah.
That's like just what a great generation of BMWs.
It really
I would love to have those 3 cars in the garage right now.
Yeah.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah, David has a really nice E39 M5 with a Deanon package on it. It's black, and it has the Dean and BBS wheels, which are like impossible to find. Like they were like sanctioned by Dean and BMW, and wow.
Oh, wow.
That car is beautiful. So yeah, that's where BMW was like a real BMW.
Speaking of David, so out at Air Water, I had a number of people come up to me wondering, is David okay? Where is David? I had to assure them he is fine, he is healthy, he's living the dream.
We'll have him come on just to show people he
needs a guest appearance in a future episode.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, the E36s will give you that driving experience. You just have to be prepared to redo your whole interior.
Yeah.
I just went through that. It's terrible.
What goes wrong? I mean, it's just disintegrate. They
did not.
The plastics.
Even though the car is built like a vault, you close the door and it's like, wow, it's German. You can feel. You get a Mercedes or a Porsche from the 90s. Everything's still there. Mm-hmm. The door panels pull away. The seats start to crack. The headliners sag. I did a I did Alcantara headliner and a rear parcel shelf in mine because I figured I'm spending the money anyway. Why not?
Might as well
make
do
it
it.
nicer, and it smells nicer. Yeah. I put a new steering wheel, a new shift knob.
Just quality of the materials on the inside.
I re-dyed the back seat, and instead of recovering the front seats because it didn't have the Vaders, Rich found me a really cool set of all Alcantara 330 ZHP seats. If anyone that doesn't know what that is, it was a final E46 that was like a performance package. That's right. And they're rare seats, so I put those. And you know what? This is a car I modified because I had to cure my disease of like having garage queen cars. So that was like the car I drive. I did suspension, everything. What a car! And you know what? Drive it in the rain, put the kids in the back. It's fantastic.
I bet they'd love it.
I love it.
If you don't want the kids, I'm going to do I want an SL. I mean, you have me looking at older SLs again.
When you stand up and turn around, you'll see the one I have right now.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Sold.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, listen, if you want a convertible,
yeah,
not a sports car.
And just I want to puddle around. I want to waft.
The same way a 911 is a 911 and you cannot replace it. There's no substitute for it. Nobody could build a convertible like an SL. It was designed as a convertible. It wasn't a 3 Series or an A4 that let's chop the top off it and make it a convertible, okay? It was just perfectly executed, and since the day the 300 SL, the first one was made in the 50s, till even now, if you just want a really nice, luxurious convertible, it does the job. Even Lexus could not. They built a reliable, good-looking car that rolled like garbage. They just couldn't build. Nobody could do what Mercedes did with that car.
Yeah. What's the one to buy? If you're going to buy an SL, what's like the one?
Well,
reasonable money.
really
obviously,
depends.
300 SL, get out of the equation.
You know what? Let's do a whole talk about SLs. We should.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because we should. If people send us a comment or an email, let us know if you want us to do it. We'll do it anyway, whether you want it or not.
I want it. I want to know. What's the one to buy?
The thing with the SLs, it's different. The fundamental difference between them and a Porsche is they depreciate. So don't buy a new one, because they're all great. It's all about condition. If you buy a car from the 1990s that's in mint condition, it's still like having a $100,000 car. So to me, the R129 or the R230, which is the one after it, now those are ABC suspension.
Yes, I remember selling those when, fairly newish, and they had issues.
There's issues, but here's the deal.
55 ripped.
You're buying a car for substantially under $30,000 bucks. If you have the means to buy a new one.
The aftermarket has it figured out by now.
Well, yes and no, but here's the way I look at it. If you want a quality car that has some modern amenities, your worst case scenario is you spend 10 grand between doing the top, doing the suspension, and then you're done. And now you have a car for under 30,000 bucks. That's a hard top convertible. It's a V8. It's smooth. It's quick. It does have that ABC suspension, which is fantastic. Because if you get on a windy road and you turn that on, it does not have any body flex at all. And then when you shut that off, it just wafts along. And it's got nav. You could put Bluetooth in it very easily. Some of them have it if you get 07 or newer. You have, xenon headlights. It has modern stuff, and it doesn't look old. And if you want the classic feel, the R129, which is my favorite one.
Yeah, boxier one, right?
The only thing you have to worry about on that car is the top. I mean, unless you start with V12s and wiring harnesses and stuff like that. But you get a nice one, and my God, I mean, there's just no better car. Jag came close. The build quality wasn't there, but the XK8s were nice.
Next episode, SL. Yeah. The SL episode.
We'll do it. We got to line up a bunch of them. And if you want the classic feel, you go with a 70, you go with a Pagoda.
I'll do my research. I'll get a little bit more knowledgeable between now and then. But yeah, SL episode. I want to know more.
All right, we'll do it. We'll have to bring someone on too. That's another Benz person. We'll get another perspective.
Got to have David on to say hi. Let people know he's alive.
David's good. David got. We won't spoil it. We won't show it. David got a cool '90s Mercedes convertible, and if he comes on the next time, we'll let him talk about it.
All right.
All right?
Awesome.
That's what we'll do, because this is a car people will go crazy over.
I can't wait to see
You
it.
know? And what's fun about the Mercedes is nowhere near the prices of the P cars. Nowhere near it. You have a lot of fun for a little money. So we'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for coming back.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, anytime. Take care.